Hello, good morning.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम।
वालेकुम सलाम। कौन बोल रहे हैं?
इब्राहिम इरफान।
इब्राहिम, क्या हाल है?
अल्लाह का शुक्र मैम, आप बताएं, आप खैरियत से हैं?
हैप्पी न्यू ईयर टू एवरीवन।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम।
वालेकुम सलाम। कौन बोल रहे हैं?
मैम सुहेब ताहिर।
सुहेब, क्या हाल है सुहेब?
मैं ठीक मैम, आप सुनाएं।
मैं भी ठीक हूँ, थैंक यू। सो और कौन है यहाँ पे? हेलो अबू बकर।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम।
वालेकुम सलाम। हाउ आर यू?
Ma'am, I am good. What about you?
थैंक यू सो मच, आई एम फाइन। अलीना।
जी मैम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम सलाम। हाउ आर यू?
मैम आई एम गुड। आप कैसी हैं मैम?
मैं ठीक हूँ, थैंक यू। अमिलिया।
Hello, ma'am.
हेलो, हाउ आर यू?
Fine, ma'am.
ओके। माइजा।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैम।
वालेकुम सलाम। हाउ आर यू?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैम, आप बताएं।
आई एम फाइन, थैंक यू। फरीदुद्दीन।
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
वालेकुम सलाम। हाउ आर यू फरीद?
I'm fine. Good.
गुड,
How about you, ma'am?
आई एम फाइन, थैंक यू। हेलो राना शहबाज।
Good morning, ma'am.
गुड मॉर्निंग बेटा, हाउ आर यू?
I'm fine. What about you, ma'am?
आई एम फाइन, थैंक यू। Who else do we have here? उस्मान बाजवा। हेलो
Yes,
उस्मान।
ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
सो रहे हो उस्मान?
नहीं मैम, अभी उठाऊं।
अभी उठे हो? अच्छा, ठीक है। So how were the holidays?
It was good.
It was good. Okay, great. So a happy new year to all of you. It's good to be with you today in this live session, right? So we have studied, how many chapters have we studied? Hello? Bolo? How many chapters have we studied? कोई भी नहीं बोल रहा, सो गए सारे?
Ma'am, I guess we were on the chapter 11.
We have studied 11 chapters, right? Okay, great. So today I'm going to do a revision of the 11th chapter. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. So the 11th chapter is about, as we have already been doing, is about torque and angular momentum. Now, as these chapters, you know, their topics are overlapping. So we have discussed momentum before as well. We have discussed angular motion, circular motion, rotation, right? So we are going to use similar formulas in different cases, in different scenarios, in different problems, right? So, in order to remind you of of this chapter that we have already studied, so you know that when we talked about angular motion, we talked about the concept of moment of inertia, right? We talked about, for example, what is I, right? I is whenever a body is in circular motion or angular motion, we use the term I, the moment of inertia, instead of the mass m as we do in normal translational motion. Okay, so we are familiar with this. Also, we know that we have a table of formulas for different bodies, different shapes have different formula for the moment of inertia, and you can see them in the table that was in the last chapter, right? Okay, so we also talked about the kinetic energy of these bodies. We talked about, for example, omega. What is omega? What is omega? Hello? बोलो भाई, are you आप लोग सो रहे हो? What is omega? Hello. Acha. Usman Bajwa, what is omega? Usman Bajwa. Usman Bajwa is not there. I'm not going to mark your present, okay? Okay, Abu Bakr, you tell me, what is omega?
Ma'am, omega is a symbol.
Symbol for what?
Ma'am, symbol for
Ma'am, angular velocity.
कौन बोल रहा है? Maisa.
Maisa.
Very good. Yes. So this is the.
Hello, ma'am. Sorry.
नहीं उस्मान तुम एब्सेंट हो बस अब तुम एब्सेंट हो.
मैम नहीं मेरी आवाज नहीं थी आ रही. हेलो.
So angular velocity or velocity in a circular motion is represented by omega, and the velocity in normal translational linear motion is represented by v. So you know, again in the previous chapters there was a table in which you could see these terms and their equivalents in both linear motion and circular motion. So please update yourself and revise because the next quiz that's coming up on Friday is also based on these topics. Okay. The topics for the quiz are the same as the topics for the homework. Okay, so what is the unit of omega? Who's going to answer this? Alina, what are the units for omega? Hello, Alina, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Your voice is too light. Acha.
Ma'am, radian per second.
Radian per second. Good. Yes. So omega is defined as the change in circular theta, right? The displacement in angular motion is theta, right? And the unit for theta is radians. And change in theta divided by change in time, the unit for time is second. So the unit for omega is radian per second. So is that clear? Okay. So again, then we talked about forces. As you know, from the beginning of this course, we have been talking about forces. And because we are talking about mechanics, which is motion, and therefore, in order to make a body move, forces are acting on that body. So we've been studying this. We initially studied the forces with respect to the chapter where we were studying scalars and vectors, and we studied the Newton's laws, which the second law states that whenever you need to change the state of motion of a body, you need to apply a force on that body. So we have been drawing force diagrams and we have been calculating forces. Now we are talking about the forces of rolling. So this is when a body is in circular motion like a wheel. Again, you have formulas like the conversions between omega and v. How can you convert omega to v or v to omega? What's the relationship? Who will tell us about this relationship? Usman, will you answer this one? Usman? Usman, are you there? Usman, you are not really present in the class, are you? Okay, so who will tell me the relationship between V and omega?
Linear velocity is equal to radius into angular velocity.
Okay, good. So this is Fareed. So V is equal to omega R. Okay, just like we have this relationship, we similarly have a relationship for acceleration where A is equal to alpha R, right? So A is the acceleration in linear motion and alpha is the acceleration in angular motion. Another thing you will notice is that you see the subscript COM. What does COM stand for? Yes? Who will? Usman, are you going to answer any question or not? I'm not going to mark your attendance today. Usman, either you're not present, okay, or you're not following, right? Okay, so who would like to answer this? Ibrahim, what is COM? These are very simple questions. Actually, this is a revision. Today is a revision class. We've already studied these topics. And this is not even from this chapter. We've been studying this in the previous chapters. Yes, Ibrahim Irfan, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Anji. So what is COM?
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know. I cannot revise the chapter in
तो
weekend.
आपने
Sorry.
अभी होमवर्क नहीं किया, उसमें नहीं रिवीजन हुई आपकी? Okay, who will answer it? COM stands for? Come on, ये this is not even from this chapter, है ना?
Center of mass.
कौन बोल रहा है?
Ma'am, Fareed.
फरीद, very good. ये कौन से चैप्टर में पढ़ा था सेंटर ऑफ मास हमने?
Ma'am, it was in chapter 7.
है ना? ये तो बहुत पीछे पढ़ा था हमने. So center of mass, very good. So center of mass, इसका मतलब है आप लोगों ने होमवर्क का क्या किया फिर, अगर आप लोगों को ये छोटी-छोटी बातें याद नहीं है तो? So center of mass is applied when we are talking, initially when we started this course, we were talking about a body as one particle, right? A car as one particle. But then later on, we went further to explain that every body consists of a number of particles, right? Whether you call them atoms or molecules or whatever. So then every body is a system of particles, and therefore we have to talk about the center of mass. The mass of the body is concentrated at a point that we call the center of mass, right? And therefore when we are solving the equations and the formulas and calculating different quantities, we have to apply the concept of center of mass. Is that clear? Okay, so we also talked about motion relating to a ramp, and we talked about a ramp because normally we're talking about motion in a straight line. Either we are talking along the road, for example, which is a horizontal line, or we are talking about motion which is going up or down, vertical motion. But now we also talked about inclined motion. Again, we've done examples of inclined motion in the beginning chapters as well, and here again we are doing this. But the difference is, in the beginning chapters we were talking about a body moving in translational motion, and in this case we are talking about a body which is moving, which is rolling. So it's covering both circular motion as well as linear motion, and then we solve the equations for this, right? Okay, and then we talked about torque. You remember torque? What is torque? What is torque? Hello? Usman Bajwa, will you try to answer this now? Usman, what is torque? Beta, ये metric के concepts हैं. Do you know that torque is studied in metric as well?
A force that tends to cause rotation.
What?
A force that tends to cause rotation.
Example?
Centripetal force.
Centripetal force is equal to torque?
I think so, ma'am.
Not really. Okay. I'll ask you another question, okay? So then we talked about the concept of angular momentum. Angular momentum, just like we studied linear momentum. Okay, Usman, what is linear momentum? Usman, सबसे आसान सवाल है. What is linear momentum? Usman निकल गया meeting से. He is not in the meeting anymore. Okay, so who will answer this? What is linear momentum? Sohaib? So hey, what is linear momentum?
Linear
Usman,
momentum.
wait, let's give Usman another chance. Usman, what is linear momentum? नहीं, you don't know. चलो सोहेब तुम बताओ.
Linear momentum.
हाँ जी, linear momentum क्या होता है? What is linear momentum?
मैं
बेटा
सोच
ये
रहा हूँ
हाँ,
मैम एक सेकंड.
linear momentum किसको कहते हैं? What is linear momentum? Linear momentum is
मैम
Product.
mv mass into velocity.
कौन बोल
तो
रहा
उसका
है?
साइन है कोई. मैम सोहेब.
हाँ, mass into velocity, very good. तो symbol क्या है उसका?
वो p सा बना होता है कोई.
P is equal to mv. बेटा P सा नहीं बना होता, P ही है उसका symbol. ठीक है?
डेंसिटी का भी ऐसे ही है.
ठीक है, वेरी गुड. सो linear momentum is mass into velocity. बहुत ही आसान है. And then later on we also studied the laws of conservation of momentum. याद है? अच्छा, now we are talking in this chapter, we are talking about angular momentum. When a body is moving in an angular motion, it again experiences a momentum, but this momentum is different than P. It's a cross product of the radius and the linear momentum. So it is R cross P. ठीक है? And you remember that cross product को जब open करते हैं तो you have to multiply with the sign of the angle between these two vectors, right? So therefore, if you open this cross product, you get L is equal to RMV sine of phi, where phi is the angle between these. ठीक है? And we talked about the perpendicular components because sine always gives you the perpendicular component. ठीक है? Okay, so यहाँ पे you can see that RMV sine phi means either you're taking the perpendicular component of the momentum or you're taking the perpendicular component of R. This is shown in the figures. Here you have the figures that please ये revise करो आप लोग. Start preparing for the quiz, okay? ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Let me again remind you about the quiz. I'm going to share with you the schedule, okay? And let me remind you. Already, you know, you have all this information in Moodle as well, but you can still see it on my screen also. Acha. So you can see the assessment plan that we are following, right? So we have, in this case, you can see we have covered homework 1. So this was done. It has been marked and graded. We have done quiz 1. We have done homework 2. We've done the midterm and we've done homework 3. Now the next assessment you have to prepare yourself for is quiz 2. The quiz 2 is on 15th Jan, which is Friday. Okay. So please, these are the topics are 6, 7, 8, but these are not the chapters as I remind you. 6, 7, 8 correspond to which chapters in the book? I also reminded you last time. So 6, 7, 8 correspond to topic 6. You can see this in your course outline. The topics are described and you can match them with the book. So topic 6 is chapter 7 and 8. So topic 6 is chapter 7 and 8. Okay, topic 7 is chapter 9, right? So topic 7 is chapter number 9 and topic 8 is chapter number 10 and 11. Okay, so chapter number 10 and 11. So therefore you have to study chapters 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 for the quiz which is on Friday. The quiz will be open for a shorter time Okay, it will not be like the homework. The homework was open for a longer time. You know, the homework was open from the 5th of January to the 10th of January. So these were a number of days. But the quiz will only be opened during the class time on Friday. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Please इसको note करें. Quiz will be opened
Ma'am.
during class time on Friday. So please prepare accordingly. Also, you have to manage your internet. You have to have some backup as well. You should know. Go and sit at a place where you are sure that you will have internet, and in case one source of internet is not available, you do have another option. So you know that the mobile internet data is not expensive. In fact, you can get very cheap packages. You can have a pack for a very cheap amount. You can get it for 1 hour or for 1 day or for 1 week. So you only need it for the time of the quiz. Okay, so you have to ensure that you have internet, and also you cannot come up with excuses that your device was not charged and the light went off. You have to ensure that your devices are charged. Okay, so please be ready for this quiz on Friday, and the quiz will only be open during the class time. Is that clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, तो
Yes.
आपको सबको अब ये तो पहला सेमेस्टर तो नहीं है तो आपको समझ नहीं आ रही. It's now a routine that you are using the internet and you're working on Moodle and you're familiar with all these options that you have. ठीक है, अगर आप चार्ज नहीं करते अपनी डिवाइस को तो that's your problem, right? और अगर आप अपना डेटा नहीं ऑन करते या whatever तो that's again your problem. ठीक है ना, सबको पता होता है कि उनके घर में वहाँ पे इंटरनेट सही चलता है और किस तरह से चलता है. And अगर वाईफाई नहीं चल रहा होता तो you can always switch on your own data. Okay, ठीक है. In fact, it's I don't think anyone can say that they don't have access to that. ठीक है, because the students who did not have access were given facility in the hostel. So students who are not in the hostel were ensured that they have internet in their own accommodation or wherever you are, right? ठीक है. So I'm going to take the attendance now. You can note this information that I've given you. This is also your homework. You should prepare for this. And as I've been saying in this class, I'm asking you very simple questions related to even the previous chapters that we've done. But I see that you really need to brush up your concepts. Okay? ठीक है? अच्छा जी.
Yes, ma'am.
सरमद, अमार, अबू बकर,
Present, ma'am.
बाबर, फातिमा, फातिमा बाबर, उस्मान बाजवा. उस्मान बाजवा फिर गायब है.
Yes, ma'am.
उस्मान बाजवा, तुम्हारी वैसे एब्सेंट लगानी चाहिए.
मैम मेरा नेट का इशू था. मैंने अभी
जब भी
वो मेरा
मैंने
वाईफाई
आपको
नहीं था
आवाज
सही
दी
चल
है ना,
रहा.
यू वर नॉट अवेलेबल.
मैम मैं बोला था लेकिन वो आप तक आवाज ही नहीं जा रही.
अच्छा, तो फिर किससे बोले थे आप?
मैम मेरा नेट का थोड़ा सा इशू था.
नहीं बेटा,
मैम मैंने
आपने
अभी पैकेज किया है दोबारा.
तो तुम्हें पता
मतलब
नहीं था आज क्लास?
वाईफाई का इशू था.
आपको नहीं पता था कि क्लास है?
मैम रात तक सही चल रहा था.
नहीं, प्लीज यू शुड ऑलवेज इंश्योर कि योर मतलब मुझे तो फिर यही इंप्रेशन आएगा ना कि आप जानबूझ के ऐसा नहीं कर रहे.
जी मैम आइंदा ख्याल करूंगा.
ठीक है. ओके. अनम, बिलाल, हमजा, फरीद. फरीद अभी बोल रहा था, फरीद कहाँ गया?
Ma'am,
हम्म.
yes, ma'am, I'm present. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. अच्छा. Kessler, Zaresh, Haris, Muaz, Ibrahim,
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Huma, Alina, Hunan.
Present, ma'am. Present, Alina.
Okay. Hunan, Rana Shahbaz. राना शहबाज भी चला गया. अच्छा. सनिया, अरीशा, चांद खुशी.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Chand, I will open the homework today for a short time and you can submit it. जिसका रह गया वो submit कर दे. ठीक है?
Okay,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
time बता दे.
टाइम मैं अभी क्लास के बाद खोलूंगी. ठीक है? और कुछ देर के लिए खुला रहेगा. आपको वो मैसेज कर दूंगी मैं. ठीक है?
मैम 12 बजे ओपन कर दी क्योंकि इसके बाद एक और क्लास है.
नहीं बेटा, वो तो सबकी क्लासेस चलती रहेंगी. तो मैं कुछ घंटों के लिए खोलूंगी. तो आप उसमें से जो सा घंटा पिक करना चाहते हैं आप कर सकते हैं. ठीक है?
ओके मैम.
अच्छा.
थैंक यू.
और ये सिर्फ इसलिए किया है मैंने क्योंकि आई नो कि देयर वाज अ पावर शटडाउन. ऑल्दो मेरा भी कल मैंने सारा डाटा यूज किया है. डाटा चल रहा था. लेकिन फिर भी आई गिव यू दिस बेनिफिट बट फॉर द लास्ट टाइम. ओके? ठीक है?
ओके मैम.
आप बाकी अपने क्लास फेलोज को भी इन्फॉर्म कर दें कि अगर किसी का रह गया है तो दे कैन डू इट. ठीक है? ओके. माइजा.
Present, ma'am.
अच्छा. यूसुफ पतरस. अबीरा.
Present, ma'am.
Okay. And Nadia, Hayan, Cheryl.
Yes, ma'am. Present.
कौन बोल रहे हैं?
Hayan.
Okay. Cheryl, Ashreb, Huda Zahur, Amelia. अमेलिया ने मेरे का ज्वाइन किया था और अब फिर नहीं है. शी इज नॉट देयर. ओके. बिस्मा, सदीकुल्ला, ताहिर, सोहेब. सोहेब ताहिर.
मैम प्रेजेंट. मैम
मतलब
प्रेजेंट शो होता है.
ओके. ओके. तलहा एंड जुल्करनैन. अली जुल्करनैन. नो. ओके. सो अमिलिया जो है वो थोड़ी देर के लिए आई थी. और ये दूसरा कौन था स्टूडेंट था जो थोड़ी देर के लिए? राना शहबाज. राना शहबाज, आर यू देयर? सो आपको ये पता है कि ये मुझे हर वक्त नजर आ रहा होता है कि आप मीटिंग में कितनी देर के लिए आए हैं. ठीक है? सो अगेन आई वुड नाउ रिमाइंड यू. आपको मेरी स्क्रीन नजर आ रही है?
Yes, ma'am.
So your
Yes
homework.
मैम.
Okay. So your homework is you're going to prepare for your quiz. Okay? And I've
Okay, ma'am.
explained in detail. Again, अब data वगैरह का कोई बहाना नहीं है, right? You now know all the options that you're supposed to use.
Okay.
ठीक है? और and this quiz will be opened for a short time. It will be open during the class time on Friday. So please note this.
Done, ma'am.
मैम आवाज नहीं आ हेलो मैम आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही
Ma'am, your mic is muted.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I don't know how the mic got muted. Okay, right. So कोई बात अगर दोबारा पूछनी तो पूछ लो, ठीक है? Is there any question? Okay, so anyway, so these are the quantities. This table is very important. Please study this and practice this. So again, finally, we talk about the conservation of angular momentum, just like the conservation of linear momentum, where initial momentum should be, or the sum of all the initial momentum should be equal to the sum of all the final momentums. And in this case, you have for angular momentum a similar law. And like we discussed several examples now, so we can do a recap of what we've studied today. In fact, this is based on the concepts we've studied before the holidays. So in this case, you can see that okay, so we talked about the relationship between linear velocity and angular velocity, and we also talked about the fact that for a system of particles, we use the concept of center of mass. Then we talked about kinetic energy, and we talked about the fact that we use capital I, which is the moment of inertia. And you have these formulas for the moment of inertia of different bodies of different shapes in the last chapter. No, okay, that we studied before this. Then we also studied about the relationship between linear acceleration and angular acceleration. And we studied, this is the formula for the inclined case. We studied the concept of torque. We talked about the torque. Then we talked about angular momentum, and the for one body, and then for a system of particles, which is capital L. And then we talked about writing Newton's second law in terms of different quantities. We talked about the conservation of angular momentum. And I've also uploaded some extra material on Moodle related to these topics, related to the precision of a gyroscope and angular momentum. These will also help you understand. In fact, I expect you have studied these topics, because these topics were included in the homework, and they are also included in the quiz. Is that okay? ठीक है?
Yes
Ma'am,
ma'am
kindly what did you just said?
मैंने कहा था कि ये टॉपिक्स जो मैंने अभी आपको दिखाया था ना, सारे टॉपिक्स जो आपकी क्विज में आने हैं,
Yes, ma'am.
वही होमवर्क में भी सेम टॉपिक्स थे ना, तो आपने ये
Yes, ma'am.
चैप्टर्स पढ़े होने चाहिए थे जायरा होमवर्क से पहले.
Yes,
एंड
ma'am.
अगेन अब इनको दोबारा रिवाइज करो फॉर द क्विज. इज दैट क्लियर?
Okay.
कौन कौन से
Yes,
चैप्टर्स
ma'am.
हैं अभी मैंने आपको बताए थे?
6 to 11.
चैप्टर 7 to 11.
7 to 11.
7 to 11.
7 to 11 बन रहे हैं. ठीक है, प्लीज ध्यान से पढ़ो.
Okay, ma'am.
ओके, सो अब कल परसों हमारी क्लास होगी ऑन वेंसडे, एंड आफ्टर दैट फ्राइडे को